And in the last of today's light, here's my third weekly update here from where they drove the last spike of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1855, thus uniting the country. I figured this was a fitting place to do it, and well, it's Monday, so it's the beginning of another week, and I hadn't gotten around to an update video yet. So this is the end of my first Canadian leg of the trip, and like I hoped and like I planned, it's been more about meeting people and people. Like half the week was spent just hanging out in Vancouver with my wonderful family, the West Coast Gregories. So I saw two of my cousins, Hannah and Elizabeth, my aunt and uncle, and my 96-year-old grandmother, who's still going very well. So that was really the highlight of this time, although that's probably not that interesting for anyone who's outside of my family who may be watching. So my last update was from Victoria, BC, just before I got to present card scopes the next day at the Royal British Columbia Museum. Excellent experience, although not surprisingly, a lot of visitors to a natural history museum really didn't care at all about microscopes or, but the ones who did were really friendly. From there I went straight up to Calicut Bay to stay with Heidi's Auntie Nina, who was a great host. She had cycled all the way up and down the coast, even as far as Alaska, and exchanged stories about it with her cycling partner Christine, who wanted to meet me as well. Had a great time there, got to see a chunk of Vancouver Island. So across the ferry into Vancouver, other than meeting up with family, met a really friendly and encouraging professor, Lenny Kanevsky. We talked a lot about inquiry, gifted education, special education, problem-based learning. Also went to Science World. Big thanks to Karen, who hosted me at Science World to meet a bunch of teachers from across British Columbia. Leaving Vancouver, had a nice-ish ride down to the Peace Arch. Some busy roads. Really didn't like the Alex Fraser Bridge. I'm halfway across the Alex Fraser Bridge, and I'm just taking a moment to stop and record what a thoroughly unpleasant experience this is. After the Alex Fraser Bridge, got down the Peace Arch. Pretty cool monument to peace, and a good way to start my trip down Avenue Zero, which I also filmed a bit of. My uncle was so fascinated by Avenue Zero, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. And the advice that it was a cool place to bike was good as well. Although it's right along the border, but unlike the stories, you can't just stop and have one foot in the States, one foot in Canada. Ended up camping next to the Chilliwack River, which is pretty cool, and it was surprising how much it reminded me of camping in Northern Ontario. Beautiful clear stream, you can drink the water straight out of the stream. It's a really beautiful area. The next day, did my first stretch on the Trans-Canada. Fairly boring double expressway, but relatively safe feeling. Got up to Hope at the Tourist Info Office. They advised me strongly against the Kettle Valley Rail Trail because it was in terrible condition there. Instead, I took, I guess, my uncle's advice of Highway 3, despite it being the most mountainous route to get to Princeton from there. It really wasn't anything too bad, although once I checked the maps and stuff, and talked to a couple people, it might be harder than actually crossing the Rockies, which I have coming up. From Princeton, took the Kettle Valley Rail Trail, which luckily paralleled another road, because it was in reasonably poor shape. For some reason they thought sand would be a good material to pave it in. Some sections I had to walk the bike, and really a big pain in the butt, so I spent a lot of time on the road rather than the trail. Although, that being said, the last 20 kilometers of the trail into Summerland were beautiful. Nice gravel surface, some really beautiful canyons to get into. So continued up Lake Okanagan, eventually camped just outside of Lake Okanagan Provincial Park. Next day, short day up to Vernon, despite my second flat tire of the trip. Those auto repairing tires with like a slime to fill the hole, that gets everywhere once you have a hole. It was awful. Was met about an hour outside of town by Maurice, the first host I've had from Warm Showers. Great experience meeting him. He showed me around town that evening. Rode I don't know, an hour or two out of town today with me. I came to the Science Museum in Vernon today to check out the eclipse. Big eclipse. Here it was about 82% totality, and connected with the Vernon Science Centre to observe the eclipse and to like sort of lend a hand showing things to people. Showed a couple people toilet paper pinholes I'd made, pinholes in a piece of paper, finger pinholes. I didn't get many pictures or footage of that because I was kind of busy just interacting with people. Big thank you to Jim and Irene for welcoming me there. Great experience. Pretty easy ride up to Sycamoose now. And now I'm at the last spike on the Canada Trail. So that pretty much sums up my first Canadian week of biking, I guess week 3 of the trip. Now I have the Rocky Mountains ahead. Thanks for watching. Accompanying this with more music by Adam Shire. So thank you again, Adam Shire and the Unseen Strangers, for your great music. Happy listening.
Roll on blue, roll towards the light of day. Some rise and some fall, while others just stray. If I were you, would say it's time to walk away. Just get on that track, you'll be riding today. Now I'm standing on this old railroad track. Don't matter what you say, ain't never coming back. It's hard on the wheels and it's hard on the track. It's hard when there's nothing left to say. Let that old freight train take your blues away. Your way, living in the past. Walk out the door, leave town at last. Now I'm standing on this old railroad track. Don't matter what you say, ain't never coming back. It's hard on the wheels and it's hard on the track. It's hard when there's nothing left to say. Let that old freight train take your blues away. It was full of outlaws. All the good trains, they say, are Japanese. You'll never know with the one-town disease. Now I'm standing on this old railroad track. Don't matter what you say, ain't never coming back. It's hard on the wheels and it's hard on the track. It's hard when there's nothing left to say. Let that old freight train take your blues away. So moan in the night, it's rolling down from the ocean through the valley, up the mountain to the town. Won't do no good just to sit around and dream. Step on the platform and wait for the steam. Now I'm standing on this old railroad track. Don't matter what you say, ain't never coming back. It's hard on the wheels and it's hard on the track. It's hard when there's nothing left to say. Let that old freight train take your blues away.